What if I told you that the entire world of Bluey might actually be happening inside the mind of a 4-year-old red healer named Bingo, while we've all been watching what we thought were the adventures of Bluey and her family? There's a mind-bending fan theory suggesting that many of these magical moments, impossible coincidences, and perfectly orchestrated family games might actually be filtered through Bingo's incredibly vivid imagination. And once you see the evidence, you'll never watch the show the same way again. Before we dive into this theory that's been quietly brewing in the Bluey fan community, let me paint you a picture of who Bingo really is. According to the official Bluey website, Bingo is described as a little ball of energy who loves to laugh and has a boundless imagination. But here's what makes this theory so compelling. Bingo doesn't just have an active imagination. She has the kind of creativity that can transform the mundane into the magical, the ordinary into the extraordinary. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you watched Bluey and thought, wow, this family is just too perfect? The parents always know exactly what to say, the games always work out perfectly, and even the most chaotic situations somehow resolve themselves in the most beautiful ways. What if that's because we're seeing everything through the eyes of a child who desperately wants her world to be perfect? Let's start with one of the most telling pieces of evidence, the episode Sleepy Time. This isn't just any regular episode, it's literally a journey through Bingo's dream world. We follow Bingo as she navigates through a cosmic adventure, floating through space, visiting different planets, and having profound conversations with her future self. The entire episode is presented as Bingo's subconscious processing of her need for independence while still craving the comfort of her parents. But here's the kicker. If Bingo can create such elaborate, meaningful narratives in her sleep, what's stopping her from doing the same while she's awake? Now let's talk about the magic episodes, because this is where things get really interesting. In episodes like Fairies and Featherwand, we see what appears to be actual magic happening. Dominoes mysteriously reset themselves, objects move on their own, and fairy-like mischief occurs throughout the house. Reddit discussions have been buzzing about whether magic is actually real in Bluey's world, but what if the answer is simpler than we think? What if these magical moments are Bingo's imagination, filling in the gaps of what she can't quite understand or doesn't fully see? Take the Fairies episode, for example. Every single magical occurrence happens when Bingo is either off-screen or positioned in a way where she can't see the full picture. The tales get decorated when Bingo's behind her family members, the chaos on the walls appears way up high where the kids couldn't reach, and those dominoes reset themselves at just the right moment. But here's what's brilliant about it. One Reddit user pointed out that there's no sense of time in that final scene. Someone could have easily reset those dominoes while Bingo wasn't looking, but in her 4-year-old mind, it had to be magic. But let's go deeper. In Featherwand, we see Bandit using a broom as a lever to try and lift a cereal box, and the broom actually bends from the apparent weight and effort. Now, as adults, we know that's physically impossible with the materials involved, but from Bingo's perspective, if Dad is putting in that much effort, of course, the broom would bend. Her imagination fills in the physics to match the performance she's witnessing. Here's where the theory gets even more fascinating. Notice how in many episodes, the family's reactions to Bingo's games are almost too perfect. Everyone always knows exactly how to play along, exactly what to say, and exactly how to make the game work. In Magic, when Bluey is teaching Bingo about making magic work, she has to explicitly tell Bingo that she needs to move her ears to make it look like the magic is working. But in other episodes, everyone seems to instinctively know their role without any coaching. What if that's because Bingo is mentally directing the scene, imagining how she wants everyone to respond? Let's examine Bingo's character more closely. She's described as someone who occasionally drifts into her own little world, but who is also very good at living in the moment and being present with her family. This is crucial because it suggests that Bingo has the ability to seamlessly blend her imaginative world with reality. She's not completely detached from what's happening around her, but she's adding layers of meaning, magic, and perfection that might not actually be there. Think about the episode Bumpy and the Wise Old Wolfhound. Bingo is sick in the hospital, and her family creates an elaborate homemade video to cheer her up. The video tells the story of a quest to heal a sick puppy, clearly paralleling Bingo's own situation. However, what's interesting is that the video is presented as a perfectly crafted, meaningful narrative that addresses exactly what Bingo needs to hear. While it's beautiful to think that Bluey and Bandit created something so perfectly tailored to Bingo's emotional needs, what if the video we see is actually Bingo's interpretation of what they sent her? What if her mind took their loving gesture and transformed it into something even more magical and meaningful? This theory also explains some of the show's more unrealistic elements. How is it that every single game the family plays works out so perfectly? How do the parents always have exactly the right amount of time, energy, and creativity to engage with these elaborate scenarios? How do outdoor adventures always lead to exactly the right life lessons at exactly the right moments? If we see these events through Bingo's imaginative lens, then of course everything would appear more coordinated, more meaningful, and more magical than it probably was in reality. But here's what makes this theory particularly brilliant. It doesn't diminish the show's value or the family's genuine love for each other. Even if Bingo is adding imaginative flourishes to real events, the core emotion, the family bonds, and the life lessons are still absolutely real. Her parents genuinely love her, her sister genuinely cares for her, and the games they play together are genuinely fun. Bingo's imagination isn't creating false memories. It's enhancing real ones, making them more vivid, more meaningful, and more magical. Consider how this theory explains Bingo's role in many episodes. She's often the observer, the one taking in the scene and processing it. In episodes where she's more active, we see glimpses of how her mind works, like when she transforms into different characters like Snowdrop or Tap Girl. Her creativity doesn't just extend to role-playing, it extends to how she interprets and remembers the world around her. The hospital episode is particularly telling because it's one of the few times we see Bingo in a genuinely difficult, real-world situation that can't be solved by imagination alone. She's physically sick, she's away from home, and she's scared. But even in this moment, what lifts her spirits? A story, a narrative, a way of understanding her situation through the lens of adventure and eventual healing. It's almost as if the show is telling us that this is how Bingo processes everything. Through stories, through imagination, through adding layers of meaning to real events. What's particularly compelling about this theory is how it reframes our understanding of the show's perspective. We always assumed we were watching objective reality from various characters' points of view. But what if we've primarily been seeing the world through Bingo's imaginative filter? Why the family dynamics seem so perfectly orchestrated, and why even mundane activities become extraordinary adventures. But if this theory is true, does it make the show less meaningful? Absolutely not. In fact, it makes it more meaningful. It suggests that Bingo has such a rich inner life into extraordinary memories. It shows us the incredible power of a child's perspective to find magic in the mundane and meaning in the everyday. The theory also explains why Bingo sometimes struggles to keep up with Bluey's games. If reality is being filtered through Bingo's imagination, then the moments when she seems confused or left behind might be the times when her imaginative interpretation can't quite keep pace with what's actually happening. These moments of genuine confusion break through her imaginative lens, showing us glimpses of the real 4-year-old trying to navigate a complex world. Have you noticed other moments that might support this interpretation? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to check out our other deep dives into the wonderful and possibly imagination-enhanced world of Bluey.